See, now it intrigues me that you don't like thins. You don't like thins because the ratio is wrong. Yet you like double stuff.
Because more cream is better.
And I wonder, but so that by that ratio, I wonder whether thins are the same ratio as the normal ones or not.
No, thins are a way different ratio.
No. I'll get one out later on. But they're like the same because both the cream and the stuff has been minimized.
So the ratio is the same.
When you no, I get what you're trying to say. But the thing is, like, when you bite into a regular Oreo, there's a lot of moisture that comes from like the cream part. It's delicious.
There's no moisture. It's like sugary, powdery grossness.
Oh, right, there's no moisture. The cream is the worst part of an Oreo.
Right?
Let's just be honest.
It's like dry and boring. Like, I don't know.
The biscuit part of the Oreo is the good bit.
When you dip them in milk, the thin ones fall apart in less than 3 seconds.
So you dip. I don't dip.
If
I do both. Sometimes it dips.
I'm going to take the half hour and make myself a really good cookie.
And now would that not be not because of the ratio, but just because of the sheer lack of biscuit and cream that you don't like?
The best part of all this was Ollie going live. He told you all we're going live for 10 seconds, and then he did this. He pressed the button and went. They just let you go.
I love
Oreo Classic, Oreo Thins, or Oreo Double Stuff. Clearly not
tweet it along with hashtag DnD Jarviskjir.
There's several things where
answers.
I can do things in the background, and usually either Erin or Dean will notice it. Like in the Friday game, there's so like if we're not in the scene, like we're just making faces. Honestly. Okay, so we're back. Peace talks. Let's not deal with the boring stuff that Sid's on about. Who cares about that, right? So the peace talks.
The creation of a race of people.
If you need catching up, the peace talks are about the Deadless and the people of Lichvale, and now there's this elf, Lamriel Fenos, who came here on behalf of a raidier. I imagine. You're listening, and while you're listening, over the course of the day, there's a bit of a time skip going on here. The talks between the Deadless, the Undead, and Lichvale are very much the same. There is that idea of the Deadless forming a mercenary company, and all the Deadless that want can be part of this mercenary company that is owned by the city of Lichvale, but has got a strong degree of independence, but they would basically be their almost an independent military, and that's a very good idea. But there's a huge issue in that: the cost. And you know that Lichvale, or more accurately, Lady Builder, the mayor of Lichvale, is struggling for money. She's trying to rebuild a city that is actually really big and is, I think, a bit of a disaster. Now this is where the elf comes in. The elf from Aradia seems to be suggesting, and this is when there's like a pause from the main discussion, and he's only talking to Lady Builder, the mayor of Lichvale. He's suggesting Aradia, the country of wood elves, actually buys the Deadwood, the white forest above Lichvale that you guys have travelled through. When asked why, maybe even Amelia would be part of that conversation. Asked why? Well,
why?
It's unique. There's nothing like it on this world, and researching it would be something that Raid is very interested in. You would still own the land. We would own all the... Basically, they'd still own the land. It would still be the land of Lichvale, more or less, as much as it is right now, and there's not really any borders going on. But they would have all rights to research, to logging, to using it however they really wish, and he's willing to pay quite handsomely. And by him, he's making it very clear that he is here on behalf of the country. This is not a personal thing for him. So that's why he's here, and Lady Builder doesn't really want to do it, but she can't ignore that the money would solve the exact problem and let all the parts of this pie complete, but she needs to work more things out. So
think with your heart, not your head.
How does Vale react to this? I'm curious.
It solves their issue. I think they should do it.
I agree. Seems like a pragmatic solution.
Any issues that may arise later on, they have a deadless army protecting the city.
All right, so you guys actually afford this. That's good.
Yep.
But this whole day, it's a peace talk. Things are slow, and they kind of have to be slow. Because if you make any decision like this really quickly and shake hands on it, you're like, wait a minute, what about this part of the contract? Oh, now we own all of your eternal soul. Like, you got to do these things. You can't do everything in one day. Mistakes will be made. So at the end of the day, this is on the table, and you're actually like, you're for it. Sid is off playing with zombies. Sid, give me a medicine roll and an arcana roll.
Sorry.
Yeah,
There it is. Medicine. Beep. Oof, that was almost a 1. And Arcana. Arcana. Can I use... No, because it's only 8. You can't help yourself. Okay, never mind. So just Arcana. Let me just check this.
You can't
Gnome.
help yourself.
Somebody touch
Saving
my
throws.
spaghetti.
No. Historian. My historian ability to aid myself. I didn't think that was possible.
Come on, man.
Goldilocks.
So Artifice's lore. Nope. Also doesn't apply. To an intelligence history. Yep. No, okay. Arcana. Just checking.
Roll
One
good.
more thing.
Just
One more
roll
thing.
good.
Okay.
Don't
Checking
fuck
out my
it
little
up.
side abilities.
Oh.
So with that, you actually are having a hard time understanding the biology of a zombie. But you understand the magic quite clearly. This thing is soaked in necromancy.
Tiefling's throwing me off.
Nearly exactly to like the Deadless use. It's the same thing going on, but it's not like it's.
Do you want me to go check on him?
I'm sure there's a reason.
So the last person that made noise then was Ollie, and I was typing, and all I could see was Ollie in my minimized Skype.
I was
and
so
like,
engrossed
oh,
in the game.
shit, was that
I
me?
was so engrossed in the game. I had a tea kettle I put on before the stream started because I have headphones on, and you guys are talking. I couldn't hear the tea kettle. It was dried a long fucking time ago and still on full blast. When I said it's the tiefling that threw me off, and then I was sitting there in my head like, I found a little tea bag in there. Ha ha, tiefling. Tiefling's a stupid name. Tea! Ah! And I ran out of the room. Oh my god.
Did you even your teapot? Is it okay?
I don't know. I'm too afraid to go anywhere near. I just don't explode. Because there was that one time that Mathis was over my house and accidentally turned on the wrong burner when I had a 9x11, like a big glass, like roasting pan, and it exploded in my kitchen. And I was cleaning out glass for like hours. Because it literally exploded because of Mathis. But, oh god.
Because of Mathis.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it, Mathis.
I just freaked out.
Like,
He can't do anything, and it's always us that cleans up his mess.
Yeah. Also, chat's noticed that the astute of you. Neil's hand, because Dean's on a different camera today, Neil can stroke Dean today, as they've always wished.
It's just what usually happens, just you can actually see it this time. I tend to do some light petting throughout the show.
It's okay. You can't get away with heavy petting, but light petting is...
Yeah, it's a-okay.
Head pats.
You were talking about something that didn't include me burning down my house. an 8 into 24. Please, Ollie, from the top.
It's the same magic as the Deadless, but the fact that it has a mind kind of seems to be something unrelated, but it's magically the exact same thing. Necromancy, blah blah blah. You obviously can work out that those orbs contain the necromancy to resurrect a body in an exact way, and you can connect the dots. Oh, he was gonna fucking hurl one at the mare, turn her into an undead. But mindless, blah, 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 all that kind of thing. It's pretty terrible.
Especially considering that they are not one of the Deadless themselves, so it's a little...
Yes.
Even if it's brought these, so it's kind
of... Yes. It does raises some questions. So you work out a lot more about the magic of it. You actually... that's really it. There's not really... Even though you got a really good roll, you can't really work out much more than...
big
magic.
Balls of magical goop that make life.
Magical mist. Smoke. But yes, smoke.
Cool.
And during that time, Fulcrum is getting a little bit more information.
So the glass. I'm sorry. So I'm just the glass being. I was kind of thinking that it was maybe like residue or whatever of the glass itself. But so when he fell into it, you're saying the glass that impaled its body is just like the
An
wounds
orb.
that killed it. But then,
It
it
died
was wounds
from
that
the
killed it,
glass.
but it was the mist itself that did the reanimation into
Yes.
undeadness.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then with my horrible 8, I got like really bad note keeping of more or less like I couldn't
You're like,
get
maybe
good
he
notes of his
formed
reaction
horns.
times and stuff. Yeah.
I don't remember
Gotcha.
having those before. Yeah, and that's kind of just how that day
Cool.
goes.
Thank you.
You'll get some sleep. You're ready for another round of peace talkings.
Melody.
We
Talking
should
about what happened, of course.
discuss what we talked about during the break, which is that Caspac had an entire crate full of those orbs.
Go ahead and do that at the end of the day while you
We-
catch up with each other, of course.
Should probably have a meeting with Caspac and make sure he's not, behind the assassinations. Because if so, there's no point to these peace talks.
Now, before we do this, are we sure we want to do this?
If it turns out he is, then there's no point to this anymore. Like, there's not going to be any peace.
We'd probably still get paid.
But he brought more than one. So there's going to be more attempts.
I'm just throwing it out there. We'd probably still get paid as long as we got the thing and it goes through and they become a free mercenary company.
Yeah,
But
unless he starts throwing these,
I only
magic
say
items at them.
this. I only say this.
And then our
Because-
employer is dead. Undead?
And
I don't
they'll
have the
criticise
I don't have
Caitlin
that
for wanting
information
to get the mission done.
Well, I just throw it out there. We didn't really sign on for dealing with huge necromantic orbs of doom and death that resurrect you into mindless zombies. That is all.
We don't have that information yet. Are we all part of this conversation?
I
'Cause-
think you're all a part of this conversation wrapping up at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
Sid said some vagueness that you're like, oh! You caught up with what Sid worked out because...
Orbs of doom,
Yeah.
obviously.
Because it would stand to
Obviously.
reason that Caspac would be trying to turn Lady Builder into an undead, or more people, because that would further his agenda.
I agree with Amelia.
Well,
If
I
that's the
don't-
case.
I would suggest, while I agree this is something we should investigate, I would suggest that actually turning the Lady Builder into an undead would not aid Caspac's cause, as turning the Lady Builder into an undead would then most likely invalidate her position as leader of Lichvale.
Correct, but does Caspac know that?
He didn't seem stupid.
Didn't seem smart.
Well, neither do you. But you amaze us all.
We should talk to Caspac, or we should confront him about this.
Now, the way you say confront, maybe we just ask him about it.
Right, but what if he lies to us?
Well, then we have a little snoop, maybe?
Little Snoop.
Just a little snoop. Not the sort would get us into an actual confrontation with a faction of undead dwarves. Undead human with one dwarf living them.
Does anyone notice things just keep getting more and more complicated?
Yes,
And then more
this
complicated.
This is why I suggested simply completing the mission. It is not my
I mean-
usual.
We could let things play out, but there's probably going to be another attempt because he had an entire caravan full of these things.
Are we even sure that they are the same things?
I mean, there aren't a lot of magical items that resemble a glass sphere with black gas inside of them. So, I feel like we can make a reasonable assumption
Well,
that they
would
are
you
at
be
least
able to-
related.
if we go and see them, say, would you be able to confirm that they are what they are?
At the very least, Sid could, I imagine.
Sid, my boy.
The issue is I can't do that yet. I've seen them. I've seen one, up close, definitely. It was cracked. But
What sort of certainty
don't-
level
we
can
need
you
to
take
see-
it to?
I have one more experiment that I need to do first that I haven't had the opportunity to yet because of time and you guys calling me here to this meeting instead of spending more time with Fulton. So, I mean, we can't just go and accuse and assume they have these orbs. You can't go accuse that one is causation of the other until we test.
But this is my point of not confronting him, just asking him.
Yeah, that's a
Caspac is-
confrontation. That's
No.
confrontation.
No, it isn't.
I have
you.
magic that can protect those in the room if need be, so we can let things play out a little bit further, buy Sid some time, and gather more information. How does that sound?
Okay, hold on. Let's just take this back a step. What exactly are you going to say to him? A ballpark.
Caspac,
Ballpark exact.
what is up, my
The
Well, then-
orbs.
unfriend, dead friend? Did you see the orbs the other day that were attempted to use to affect the talks? Yes, we noticed they bear a resemblance to the other orbs you have. We were wondering whether perhaps we could take an inventory of them to make sure none had been stolen from you.
That is really confrontational. That is saying that the orb that was used to attack the mayor is the same orb. You're saying that you're carrying around a weapon that is being used against them without making people aware of the fact that they brought a weapon to a peace talk. That's pretty confrontational.
It might not
Even
be
if
a
it wasn't
weapon
their
for them.
intention to use it that way.
It might
you're
not
saying-
be a weapon for them.
Okay.
That is like me bringing a bottle of wine to a peace talk.
So then
Hell
if you're
yes,
going
I
to,
could kill someone with it. I
then
could light
instead
it
of
on
saying,
fire
can we
and
do
throw
an
it.
inventory of it, you can ask, what are those orbs? What's the significance of them? But I wouldn't do it as a big group. I would do it as an aside. Like
I
you're
would
already
say
in a
that is-
conversation.
that
Like,
is
hey, what was that?
making- Unless you're stupid, that is the exact same question.
Which is
Hey,
why I think
hey,
we shouldn't
that's-
go along
that's
we shouldn't
orb
go along
you
that line yet. Anyways, we don't know if there's a if there's a link between the two.
So you're saying we should just risk it?
I think either way it's a risk. I think that my way has more information.
I think sometimes the information you get after the weapons of mass zombification are used is not the information that you want.
WMCs. So I just thought that was great.
That's like the name of a fucking book that's too edgy.
WNCs.
All right,
Um,
listen, you're not wrong. Sometimes too much study before action is the bad thing. However, I think that not enough studying before action can also be a very bad thing. Perhaps two birds, one stone.
Perhaps we should put it.
Set a meeting for the morning, and I'll work through the night.
That's assuming you are able to confirm what that orb is.
That's assuming that you're giving me time to at least come up with no answer, as opposed to not having a chance whatsoever.
Very well. Should we put it to a vote?
Okay.
Hey, we're putting it to a vote. I'm not making the decision on this one. People may die.
Well, to be fair, you're my employer, so it's on your head either way.
Well, I would suggest the options
I
are.
think we can minimize the risk and let things play out a little bit further.
So you're happy.
Like I said, I have magic that can protect us and those in the peace docks.
So you are happy to leave it or push it back till tomorrow?
Push it back till tomorrow.
Okay, so that's one for tomorrow.
Nothing happened today. There were no assassinations today.
I feel like it would be quite foolish to one day try to assassinate someone and the very next day attempt it again. Not saying that it hasn't happened, but
You also have time to make those long drawn out plans. The talks could have ended today, as far as anyone knows.
Indeed. Gil?
I think we should hold it off.
Melody?
Melody looks at Gil and then goes, hold off.
I just love the idea that Melody gets a vote. That's like me asking my dog, you know, what's your favorite
No.
dinner tonight? You know, the dog's like,
You're not allowed to say that. Melody's a part of the team.
Yeah.
You say
Well
Melody's a
then,
part of the team when she freaking cure wounds you.
Rude.
Looks
Listen,
like
there
you
are,
have.
there are times where Melody's opinion's the most valuable one. Then there's the rest of the time. So,
Sid, it looks like you have till tomorrow.
I will not sleep tonight. I just expect you to get me a very stiff cup of coffee. And Melody, you have a charming demeanor to you. Do you mind joining me in asking Fulcrum if he's willing to work throughout the night too?
Hold on.
Melody helps Sid.
Could I?
Are you about to say what I'm going to say? The gnome doesn't forget that I'm his employer when it comes to people dying. But as soon as it's make me a cup of coffee, I'm not his employer anymore.
No, it's nothing quite that petty. Is someone in this room implying that Caspac is behind the assassination attempts?
Well, yes, obviously
Melody
that is
nods
the
at
entire. But this is what I was
take a
trying
full
to.
step,
This
like
is
an
what
actual
I was.
physical step back.
This is what
Like-
I was trying to avoid in my question with asking whether we could take an inventory, saying that the orb has been stolen from him.
Okay.
Because personally, I like Caspac and I do not feel that he would do this. I feel that he is far too dwarven for it.
Well, if he's behind the assassination attempts, did anyone notice how he was acting in the talks thus far?
Well,
Has he been trying to delay them? Has he been
Well,
trying to elongate the talks?
a
Has he
little
been?
friend took some notes.
If you look at the notes for Caspac are tries very hard, makes very unfortunate jokes.
Yeah.
There
wanted
was
to clear
there
that
was
up.
a joke about dead goblin babies that did not go down.
Oh,
No,
boy.
you can't even make that joke. Even adding the goblin bit doesn't make it okay, you know?
Not a diplomatic function.
No.
So to our knowledge, he wasn't trying to like artificially extend them or anything like that, or be intentionally
We've all
like
been there.
dismissive and disagreeable to the best of his ability. You know what I mean? What?
I'm good.
Did I say something?
Got abusing the sword. Never mind. Continue.
I'm doing no such thing.
And you know what? If I catch you abusing the sword
Besides,
again,
if I abuse my sword,
you're gonna make
that's
Jesus
between me and
cry.
my-
You can keep going, Deeds.
You son of a bitch, Scott. The one time I'm trying to be tactical and smart about something is the time you start waving your green sword about.
Oh. Go ahead.
No, I'm going back to play my loot. Fuck you.
Please, Gil, tell us what you have to say.
Well, it's kind of a out of game question for Ollie. Has Caspac been?
You can
Like,
give me
intentionally-
an insight
We have-
roll with disadvantage.
We have all been watching various dignitaries throughout
Yeah.
the.
I mean,
I believe-
to be fair, considering how around
I
you've been,
believe-
I think insight is fine. Actually, no disadvantage.
Yeah, I think Amelia has been the one who's been sitting with them most and watching
Absolutely.
most, so it's probably her help that would, be the most.
I mean, anyone who wants to do an insight roll, they can. Aside from
Did
Sid.
you say with disadvantage?
No,
Because
no. Now I think about it, you've been there the whole time. You should do disadvantage for you looking back, but you have advantage because you've been spending like days
We
with
all
these
stop
people.
for a moment, and I'm not even rolling. I can't
That
help
part
do
of the
that.
talks,
Melody.
I definitely was reading
Melody?
everybody during the event.
Melody, you trust Caspac. You don't really know why. You shouldn't. And there's a little voice on your shoulder that doesn't like him, but you like him. You like him a
smells
lot.
funny.
Gilwyn, you noticed that Casback, yeah, again, despite some unfortunate and he's not good at this, is genuinely trying in the talks and he's genuinely trying. He's not very good at it, and you could see that as maybe him trying to delay it, and maybe Amelia thinks that for a second, but you're like, no, he's just kinda useless at this sort of thing. He isn't a talker in a public way. So he's having troubles.
I can emphasize.
So
Melody
fuck
would
the
actually just-
talks. I'm actually curious about that night where he was being him and not being a diplomat in the conventional sense. Can I do an insight
That was
based
your
off of that
notes.
night?
That was your notes.
Yeah, my notes.
Trying very
Okay, cool.
hard.
That's because I don't care about those talks. I care about that night where he's being him. So, we're all okay. Yeah.
Casback got very drunk and enjoyed playing games.
Okay, thank you.
Melody would actually just speak up and just be like, "Can trust Casback." She looks a bit like she doesn't want to say that, but that's what she says.
I hope so, Melody.
My gut is that it's somebody else.
I would.
I want
think
to trust
the same,
Casback.
considering that Casback was attacked by some shadowy abomination, and also we know that when Casback was here and Gil was in Lichvale, he was affected by some form of shadowy magic.
Do you guys even know who this tiefling was?
Mm.
Or where it came from?
He came in with the Lady Builder. I saw him talking to one of the Deathless. and
Also
then-
Fulcrum. So, I mean, it is feasible that are more likely, I mean, as funny as this says, because obviously I have a bias, but Fulcrum himself is a more likely suspect than Casback in this situation. Though, let's lean more towards Lady Builder, because, I mean, come on.
I couldn't say I'm convinced that the Lady Builder is behind it. To me, it looked like the Tiefling was positioning himself for a hit on all of the leaders,
Sure.
rather than why would you
independent
use
agent that slipped in there? Sure.
why would you use a mist that would affect multiple people and turn people undead if you didn't want to just kill one person?
Awesome. I have a great idea. I'm going to contact Fulcrum, and Fulcrum and I are going to work throughout the night to see if we could find out some more information. In the meanwhile, Melody is going to join me and keep a sharp eye on Fulcrum. She'll see if he's behaving more strangely than usual, or if there's any nefarious motive behind what he's doing. She may not be the brightest in most social situations, but she's certainly got a keen mind on reading people in general. So I would, I think having her there would be wonderful because she's a silent watcher, whereas some of you guys would be a distraction.
I'm not sure Melody should stay with you the entire night, however. If it does come down to a fight, she's fairly handy with that spear.
It's a good idea. No, her getting rest is definitely a good idea. And so, of course, Melody's welcome to retire whenever she feels it necessary. But at least, Melody, you being there at first.
Melody, watch Fulcrum. Melody,
But obviously,
helpful.
if we suspect that Fulcrum could be a suspect, we probably shouldn't leave Sid alone with him.
I'll take the other half of whatever we're calling this.
Are you sure? Because elves don't sleep.
You actually don't have to worry about. You actually don't have to worry about that. I don't know if you remember this or not, but my little friend there, whose name is Punchline, my little friend Punchline, I have the ability to control Punchline from a pretty good distance. If I need help, I can literally have him ask for help if I need to. And since elves don't sleep, I'll just have Punchline spend the night with you.
Okay, but just so you know, I'll probably get there once Fulcrum is done with your corpse and has left.
I've lived a long, hardy life.
I
Maybe he can
respect
give me
your
another
bravery,
one.
my friend. And peace be with you.
So I'm confused. Am I?
And also with
Am I?
I think you're getting a night's sleep, Gilwyn.
So in game, he was telling you, he was more or less saying, "Don't worry about it, friend." Out of game, he was saying, "Fuck you! You're staying way away from this magic. There's no way in hell
You're getting zombied."
Already got some sort of contamination going on. Just to be clear.
I don't know.
Vale's gonna invite the remaining 3 to finish that remaining ale cask that we've got on the side.
Yes.
And directly look at Amelia and be like, another 2 drinks, perhaps?
No, I'll be fine. Thank you so much, though.
Amelia.
No.
Amelia, come on.
Don't make a guild cast suggestion.
She told me never to cast
That's
magic.
horrible.
on her, and
It
I
was a
followed.
joke. It was a joke. We would.
And
do
now
that.
you've pissed her off.
Jokes are supposed to be funny.
Oh.
If you want funny jokes, Amelia, come with me to the ale casket, and I will tell you several.
I was about to say, come with me to my room.
That's where I was hoping, but I don't think Gilwyn is that confident.
Ian, the silent killer.
Allowed.
That is cruel.
Alright, so Sid and Melody toddle off to where Fulcrum is staying, which is basically another room like this, but a smaller one. What are you actually trying to work out with him? What is the research you're doing right now?
So before we were talking about getting the orb here and seeing its reaction to the orb and whatnot, I want to get its reaction to like its name and its own history, but we've kind of had to fast forward through what I would have preferred to do to fit Vale's ill-conceived notions. So I'm gonna do the orb and reactions to that instead.
Okay, so you're going down to the dungeons to orb up.
Before we do the actual orb exposure to the creature and like seeing how it reacts to it and stuff like that, of course without taking chances of breaking it, to the best of our ability, I'm going to remind Melody, and I'll RP that really quickly. All right, so there's something I need to warn you about, Melody. The creature in there, it is an abomination to nature from your conventional understanding as far as we know. If it was real life, if it was a deadless, then it's a person and sentient and deserves some amount of respect. This creature seems like it's just a zombie, and whether or not you know what that is, I'm thinking that's not a good thing in there. And so if for any chance it's able to get free, your number one focus is to end it. Not to be nice or to cuddle or to handcuff, to end it, okay? And I'm sure you're fine with that. But this orb right here seems to be what created that. We don't know for a fact, we believe it to be so. And so this orb probably is filled with definitely necromantic, if not evil magic. So that being said, I just want you to be wary of what effect this orb can have. You have ability to sense things even greater than my nose and ears and tongue can. I want you to keep your perceptions open, not only to the things that we've already discussed, but also to the magics of this orb and see how you feel about them. You know what I'm saying?
Melody nods and sort of stands still for a couple of seconds. Melody, watch Fulcrum and make sure orb not go bad.
Or if it already is some sort of bad, let us know what you perceive. You can pick up things that the rest of us can't because of your own experiences. You get what I'm saying?
Melody understands. Tell Sid what Melody thinks of orb.
You, as always, you are my eyes and shield, and I appreciate that, Melody.
Melody just smiles at that.
With that, I'm actually gonna give her,
Give her
where is it?
throat problems.
Where are you?
I don't like that noise. It gives me weird feelings.
Like that noise either. That drew me entirely back to reality in an unpleasant way.
That's what
Typing
happened.
away,
Yeah.
and then I just heard. And I was like, oh god, there's a buff goose. around."
Can you cast detect magic or no?
No. I don't have it prepared.
Mhm.
I
That's
mean,
fine.
Although
So-
technically I haven't actually changed my spells in like however long, so
That's fine. So I'm actually going to use my infuse magic ability, and I'm actually going to create. Your primary weapon is what again? It's a stick, right?
It's a spear.
spear. Yeah.
A spear. So I'm actually going to turn your spear into a wand of magic detection, which, if I remember off the top of my head, it can be usable 3 times a day. We can look that up in the DMG in a second. But either way, one casting of that is one casting of detect magic, and so you can use that to get your own perceptions based off of how Ollie handles magic, which is nifty and unique, right? So you can do that. But I'm also going to use my spell here, the skill enhancement, to give you advantage on your insight checks for kind of like reading the situation. It's only going to last an hour, but I think that first hour can be very telling.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Cool. And now you're gonna go get Fulcrum wherever he is, take him down to the dungeons, and give him an ult, and get out your orbs. Wait a minute.
Get out your orbs.
Get out
Orbs
your
and
orbs.
We need my orbs and spare.
Yeah, he's worse. But basically he has no issue with this. Is like, you're like, oh, I don't want to keep you up, and he's like, doesn't give a fuck. You go down there and you start. He takes the orb out. He goes down there and he's like, we're going to show him the orb this time, yes?
Unfortunately, because of other circumstances, we have to speed up the time frame.
That's fine. And there's only one guard with you right now because it's the night shift, and he opens up his spellbook and casts sleep on the guard, who just kind of like.
Oh, it's so cool! I was
falls
totally about to look for
into
something
a,
that could do that.
into the chair, and he looks a little like kind of unhappy with himself about it, but then closes his book and's like, they should not know about this. And a guard falling asleep on duty is not the strangest thing. Yes. And then he takes the magical lockbox, opens it. It doesn't have like a latch. It has a bit of like a little twisting puzzle thing that opens it. The orb is cracked. You actually see when he opens it, the sort of blackish, purplish mist has collected at the bottom, and the orb is nearly empty. But he picks it up and shows it to the zombie, and from your teasing of it, the zombie has been restless, and he's like, and they've actually like double, they've reinforced this chamber now, and there's no like anyone near him because they're like, there's a zombie in there, we're not going to worry about it, now it's angry. But when he pulls out the orb, the zombie calms down instantly to just like standing again and kind of gurgling as is. Oh, and of course, Melody, you don't even need to roll. As soon as she sees the orb, Raj, your Fae, is visibly disgusted and kind of angry at it.
Okay.
And is like any triggering from like smashing it. Like she would do that, but she's not.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would also immediately use one of the detect magics from the one, having seen that.
Okay. I mean,
I might as well just use my own version of it that I'm sitting here.
You detect what you detect. There's a zombie, necromancy. Same necromancy is in that orb. Fulcrum is full of magic. In fact, in a similar way to actually how Melody would see herself, in that Melody has sort of is not Fae-addled, but has been changed by the Fae ever so slightly. He's been changed by magic too, which is actually kind of obvious because he has sort of white hair and he looks just a little off. And his spellbook is bright in all kinds of colors.
Yeah.
But there's nothing you notice other than that.
Melody would immediately, but Melody would actually be a bit put out by Raj reacting, so she would immediately like get Sid's attention, and she, because she doesn't want Fulcrum to sort of, she doesn't want to really say it out loud. She would lean down and whisper into Sid, Raj, not like that orb.
What are you able? Why are you able to read off of it I saw you activating the. What are you able to get off of it? Put his perceptions aside for a minute. You.
Unnatural magic for making undead. Not many. Unnatural, but not anything in particular. Nothing useful.
Fulcrum, kind of like waving him back to like this conversation over here. It calmed down. Of course, the experimenter in me has a theory, but I'm curious, like, why the hell did it calm down?
Well, my assumption is that whatever the magic is, or whatever it's become now, it recognizes what made it in some way.
See, I have this sneaking suspicion, and Melody, please feel free to slap me. Its exposure to the, we're gonna call it a necro bomb, was not done right. It was done very wrong.
Yes.
And so therefore the transformation was half. It knows it's not complete. And it sees the ability of the transformation, of its metamorphosis to finish in the rest of this. I have this sneaking suspicion that throwing more seasoning on the overcooked steak is going to make it taste a little better. You know what I mean? Like, we just need to finish the job here.
Do I get any sense of the magic being incomplete? Can I make an arcana for that or anything? Because I would sort of...
Go ahead and make an arcana, yeah. The magic of the zombie is not. You now have realized what Sid was realized with science, with just your innate feelings. In that like you've seen a lot of Deadless now. That's the same, but not quite there. But it's not because of energy. It's not because it's lacking anything magically. Actually, it is full. If that makes sense.
So after hearing what Sid said, Melody would just shake her head. Not lacking magic. Full of unnatural magic.
Another bolt of lightning that is not going to make Frankenstein's monster any smarter, sort of a thing. So he's like, oh, well, if you're getting that reading, then good, because I'd rather not throw this orb at it and hope for the best.
I was rather preferring we would do that with the only orb we know of.
Well, it's not the only orb we know of.
Oh? There are more of these?
There are many more of these.
Where? How? Who?
What?
You must tell me, Sid, that this is... I need another one to be able to work out exactly the magic inside this sort of thing, and maybe I'll be able to reverse it.
That
That's
sounds
what I'm trying to do the
great,
entire time.
but procuring them is a very, very... there's a reason why I haven't told you yet, you know?
I'm sure there is, and I'm going to continue to keep trusting you for now, and you're going to tell me
you
why
just became
soon.
Fulcrum's #1 suspect.
I mean, I can't give you any more information. Just understand the fact that I'm telling you this is because I honestly think you're innocent in this matter. So, listen, let's do the experiments of what we can figure out about this so that when I encounter the rest of them, I have more information on hand. My biggest concern about this encountering is usually when I do things with my companions. One of my companions has already been exposed to magics and has altered his mind. It seemed as though this person here had their own mind altered when this whole happenstance went down and that the orb was exposed in the first place. I'm concerned that he is going to be a risk to himself and us. Let's find out what we can so we know what we can do and can't do. Or at least a protection or something.
If you think we can find more information from this, then yes, go ahead.
Okay, so we know that you're holding the orb out, and it's like, I'm actually gonna like, no, I won't take it from him because I know obviously he's being very protective of it, and he has bigger hands. I'm actually gonna like hold his wrist and like move it back, his wrist back and forth, and see if like the zombie's eyes like follow it.
Yeah, kinda.
Okay, so it is focused on this. It is interested in this, which means this is emitting magic. My interest is there a way that we can get it to not emit magic, or come up with a way that those magics are nulled, stopped? You know what I'm saying here? Some sort of barrier. God, I'm so not good at aberration.
Yes.
Abjuration.
I know.
Abjuration. Jesus. See what I mean here?
Yes, a way to dispel or nullify magic. It could be done. And I'm going to want you to make me an Arcana roll with advantage to work that out over a period of time with Fulcrum. Because we're not going to do all of the Sid experimenting, because I want to
Thank
retain...
God we're already asleep.
Can I make that advantage insight roll at the same time then?
Yes.
If assuming this is going to
Yes.
It's funny because I'm figuring I'm gonna fail and have to call in Aaron, calling the big guns. Yep.
You were right.
But
One
you
of the
didn't
two.
fail as
Bad.
bad. You have... You know this is possible. Like,
Got a +7.
Anything magic can be stopped, right?
Just get a thick enough piece
Melody,
of lead.
you actually work out quite a lot of things from Fulcrum while he's doing this. He's helping. He's very reluctant to help because Sid kind of like is actually acting in his way now. When Sid mentioned that there were more of them, Fulcrum was like, "That's what we need. I need that for the next step." No, you're doing this instead. Okay, I'm going to continue helping you because I actually do trust what you're doing, but that you can see that trust in him is going away more and more. He's actually starting to not trust Sid.
No, Sid's romantic life is going down the shitter.
But it's not. You don't sense that he wants it for any nefarious purposes. You sense that, similar to Casback, this guy. I mean, he said it, but you can tell that he's saying the truth. He wants to make a cure.
So Melody would like wait until there's a small break in their experiments, and then just again taps it on the shoulder and lean down. Fulcrum trustworthy, but he starts to lose trust in you.
Yeah, because I'm sucking here. I can't figure it out. I'm sorry, but abjuration magic is not my field. We need.
Sid.
What's her name again?
Sid. The orb. He needs the full orb. He loses trust in you because you won't tell of other orbs.
You and I both know this is and I imagine he can hear to some degree even if we're whispered.
Mhm.
But so I'm like, you and I both know this is a precarious scenario, and we are technically arbiters in this whole situation. And so he actually has, well, even not him, his place of residence has stake in this whole going on. And as arbiters, we need to keep some information to ourselves to help arbitrate what's going on here. So I understand that it may not be the most comfortable thing for him, but guess what? Sometimes you have to be in an uncomfortable spot when you bring in somebody else to do half the job for you. You gave up some of the reins. I can't handle this. I'm not capable of doing this, and you should probably get to bed soon anyways. Can you keep an eye on things for a moment? I'm gonna go and get what the hell's her name?
Amelia?
Amelia! Why can't I remember Amelia? It's like the easiest name. Anyways, I'm going to go and get Amelia, and I'm going to have her take over. I'm going to more or less just play errand boy and note keeper and stuff like that for them because I'm doing a garbage job. And then you can go to bed when she gets here, okay? Feel free to try to settle his nerves while I'm gone, but you and I both know we can't just go and divulge everything right now.
Melody understands. Just tells Sid because Sid wants to know.
All right, I'm gonna go and get Amelia because this is definitely something better for her, and I'm gonna like aggravatedly like grab my jacket or whatever, or my cloak or whatever it is, and be like, I'll be back with better hands for this situation.
All right. With that, we're gonna take a second break. More Sid experiments. More Sid experiments.
Alright, guys.
Experiment now.
It's okay to type /kill self. Don't worry.
It's an Amelia experiment.
We
now.
will be back
I didn't want
in
that.
some minutes.
Olirant.
In like 7 minutes. We'll be back. Bye.